So I'm Lexy,
And I'm Aubrey.
and we don't have a name for this podcast yet, but we might once it gets released, just a heads up. So just go with it whenever you see it there. We are here because we're doing a podcast or a show about all things eerie, spooky, anything along.
Supernatural. Different.
All of that stuff, yes. And so I have a background in radio, and I've been working at radio stations for like 20 years, but it doesn't give me the opportunity to express myself and my love about all things spooky and eerie. And I just thought, well, why not start a show about it on our own? And I've known Aubrey now for since 2015, 2014.
Yeah, almost.
And she's into everything I'm into. So I was like, she would be the perfect person to do a show with. And so here we are.
Doing it.
And I wanted to talk about our love for all things spooky and all of that. So I wanted to know if there's anything you have personally ever experienced as far as ghosts, paranormal, anything like that.
Yeah. I have.
Ooh.
So So about my first relationship, I was like 16. Had a friend who lived with a friend in his family home. And it was like in San Isidro, but like the 905 off of, I can't remember the street, but it was like where it gets like farmy and like big yards. And
so let me just stop you real quick. We're in the San Diego area, in case you're wondering.
San Diego. Yes. So far, almost to the borders, San Isidro. Anyways, and he lived there. And this friend of ours always was like, my house is haunted, and would tell us these just really bizarre stories. Like one of them he told me before my ex lived there was that one time he was like brushing his teeth in the mirror. And as he's like watching himself brush his teeth, like the mirror version of him stopped brushing his teeth and started smiling, like just like menacingly smiling at himself. And I was like, I don't know. He's one of those people where I just felt like he was very dramatic and just wanted to spook me, you know?
That sounds like some sort of Final Destination. Yeah. I've seen that scene somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. Like I was one of those things. I was like, did that really happen?
Yeah.
And he used to have parties at his house. So we were familiar with his house. And then his parents got divorced, and then his mom moved out, and he it was a 4-bedroom home. Mm-hmm. So eventually his dad lived there, but they got roommates, and my ex was one of them. And so I basically lived there, but it was like I didn't really live there, but I would just stay over all the time. And just weird things started to happen. Like I brought one of those TVs, I don't know if you remember them, that had like a VHS player.
Oh, yeah.
And it was tiny. Like now thinking about it, it was so small. I can't believe we watched anything.
I remember those. I think I had one in my bedroom.
Like, I don't even know, like 10-inch screen. But anyways, I had that TV forever, like my whole childhood. And I just remember very distinctly the sound it made when you pressed the buttons on it. Mm-hmm. And it didn't have a remote. It was just that, you know? Yeah. And VHS player or whatever. But I remember weird things would happen. Like we'd be laying in bed watching TV, and you would just hear like the button be pressed, and it would go off. Mm-hmm. And little things like that, slowly but surely. Like another time, so his room was like, when you walked into the house, there was like a living room to the left, kitchen to the right, hallway in front of you. Bathroom was the first thing down the hallway, and then 2 rooms on the left and 1 on the right. And we were in the far back bedroom. And I don't know why, but I always felt scared to go like to the bathroom at night.
Ooh. Yeah.
You know, like I was just like seeing the kitchen all dark and the living room all dark, just like darkness that I had to walk towards to go to the bathroom. I remember always just running or like turning on the hall light to get anyway. So this one night though, I didn't do that. And I was like, suck it up. You're strong. Yeah. You can do it.
You can make it to the restroom.
And I saw a shadow in the kitchen and also heard clanking, like cups clanking.
Yeah.
And I thought it was our friend. So I called his name out to be like, oh, hey, or whatever, like, good night or something. And I didn't hear any response. And then when I turned on the bathroom light, there was a reflection that would show, like, kind of light up the wall to the kitchen. And no one was there. And that was my first, besides the TV, because the TV is one of those things where you're like, okay, that was whatever. Like, maybe I'm the only one that thinks that's weird. But that was like the first initial where I was like, oh, he's not joking about this anymore.
Yeah.
And also, so his room, the friend had stairs to his room. And we would always hear stomping like throughout the night up and down the stairs. And we would ask him in the morning, we'd be like, what were you doing at like 4 a.m? And he'd be like, I wasn't home last night. What?
Oh, that's creepy.
And it was only just me and my ex, my friend's dad, and him. And just, so to like kind of wrap this up, one night we were visited by this spirit again and both got really spooked. Like we basically like felt a presence and just kind of like sinister presence. We were kind of arguing in bed. We were having like an argument, but we both like felt like a real like jolt of energy, almost like in between us, like a poltergeist kind of thing. I guess that happens, right?
Yeah.
And so we got so spooked, me and my ex, we ran, our friend was home at the time, ran upstairs to his room. And we were like so visibly shook that he was like, I told you. Like he was like, yeah, welcome to my house,
Yeah.
And we spent the night on his floor that night because we were all just like, we can't be alone and whatever, at least you're comfortable with it. But I remember just being like, how are we going to sleep? This is just like, let's get out of here.
Right.
But didn't want to be alone, whatever. And then he woke us up that night and his bed was vibrating.
Oh, wow.
Like full on. He was like, look, you guys feel it. And by the time we were feeling it, because it had been happening, I guess, kind of like just like mellowed out. And at that point, I was just over it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe it was like a low-grade earthquake or like whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
But we told his dad about it the next day, and his dad was like, I've always thought it was from these arrowheads that I got framed.
Ooh, yeah.
Because he had like arrowheads that he dug up. I don't remember where they were from. Maybe somewhere in the middle of America. But he had dug them up from a cave and got them made into like turtles and a shark. And they were framed and they were right above, like right going up the stairs to his house. So he always was like, yeah, I think I brought those home with me one day. And ever since they framed those or just brought them home, he said the house has never been the same. So
I believe it.
That was the only thing that really happened in my life, because I always like you would have been into the lore and spookiness, but that was when I was like, oh, this is real.
This is a thing.
This isn't like made up.
Right.
Like these things happen.
You know what's cool about you talking about the haunted objects? Lorraine Warren, who is like a famous ghost hunter, or, she had a whole room full of haunted items. I don't know who's in control of it because I haven't looked it up. I'm assuming maybe her daughter. She has a daughter. But it's true. They say like sometimes certain items, if you bring them into your home, then it could have a ghost attached. My mom's like super superstitious, and she does not like anything vintage used because of that reason. She has like sort of a sixth sense. I love everything used. I'm like, oh, bring it here. And she's always like, why are you bringing that here? Like all scared. She's scared I brought a coffee table home or something.
This person you're talking about, is that the one that movie Insidious?
Conjuring. All the Conjuring movies are based.
I get them mixed up because I feel like they have the same actors.
Yeah. The Conjuring movies are based on Lorraine Warren's cases. And Amityville is like the first famous case that she did. And so that, and then from there.
That movie really scared me.
I know, it's a scary one. When I was young, I used to always rent that movie and take it to sleepovers as an elementary kid.
You've been spooky.
I've always been spooky. Yeah, I feel like my Well, my mom always told me scary stories. I don't know if that's just like a Mexican thing or what, but like there's always so many scary stories. Like she told me a story about La Llorona from when she was young and living in the camp when they were working in the fields. They actually experienced her, She told me about a house she grew up in that was haunted and a couple of houses she grew up in that were haunted. And I'm just like, what is this like a thing? It's always been around, I guess. Like I've always known about spirits and ghosts my entire life. But the first time I actually experienced it was I was 16. It's funny because I was also a teenager too. And I was coming home late one night. I was with my cousin and we were out really late for 16-year-olds. Like it was literally like probably like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was during Christmas time. So the front of my house has a huge window, the house I grew up in. And my mom had like the Christmas tree on in there and she always had like the blinds open. So like walking up, you could see the whole living room and the Christmas tree, everything, but the couch was in front of the window. And it was like 4:35 a.m. We're walking up and I see like a silhouette of somebody sitting on the couch. And I was like, oh no, my mom's awake. She's like the night owl. So I just assumed it was her, Right. And I was like, let's come up with a story real quick why we're coming home late. Like, and my cousin was like, I can't believe she's awake. Like we're like standing in the living, like in the front yard and we see, looking into the living room and we figure out a story. We go in and I open the door and I was like, hey mom. And like the couch is this way, like to my right. So when I open the door, I look and there's literally no one sitting on the couch. I was like, what? And I was like, where did she go? I'm like looking around for her. I don't see my mom anywhere. I go to their room. They're not even there. They weren't there because my mom likes gambling. So they were at the casino actually.
Oh my God.
So we walked in, they weren't even there. And like, even the couch was warm, like from this black silhouette. I don't know what it was. I didn't see it after that, but yeah.
That was your first.
That was my first
encounter.
My first encounter, yeah. And I was just like, that was weird, but I didn't only see it. My cousin saw it too. We both seen it. So it wasn't like I was the only one.
Right.
And it's weird too because the house I grew up in, we were the first family to live there. So it wasn't like anybody at that point had passed away in the house or anything.
Like it was new, like a new home?
When they purchased it, it was a new home, but it was like fields before. So maybe something happened nearby
like
or
poltergeist.
I don't know. Maybe all of the neighbors were haunted. Who knows?
Burial ground or something.
Yeah. Well, any other stories that you've experienced? Any encounters?
I don't know if there would. Like nothing so, like nothing that comes to mind like that comes to mind.
Right.
Like when anyone mentions like personal stories like that, instantly like comes back. And it's almost like, ooh.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think ever since then I've just had little things, kind of like the TV thing, where I'm just like, oh, they're here.
Yeah.
But nothing that like shook me to my core.
Right.
Because I felt like that was like I got
shook you to the core. So see, like when I thought I saw that ghost in the window, I wasn't scared. Like actually, I was like, what was that? I was weirded out.
Oh, like weirded out. Realized it wasn't your mom?
I didn't yeah. So I wasn't like scared, Yeah. But there was this one time. So I think our house is haunted. I don't know. My mom still lives there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it might be, but she's experienced things. I've obviously had a couple of experiences, and I have a cousin that says he can see ghosts. I don't know. Some people have a sixth sense, and he's like, hey, there's like a ghost here. There's something here. I don't know what it is, though. And this one time, I was also like a high schooler. I was like I guess I was a senior in high school. And these are in the AIM days, the AOL days, AOL Instant Messenger. I don't know if you had one. I'm aging myself right now because that was like AOL way back in the days. But yeah, so I'm like hanging out in my and it was in the dining room, our computer at the time. And you had like back in the days, you had like a whole like like wooden thing for the computer. Right. It was like very bulky, you know, and it was like somewhere, and you had
like a not an armoire, like
something like that. Yeah, like a computer.
Cabinet.
Yeah, for the computer.
And the drawer that would come out with the keyboard.
Exactly. So I'm there and I'm like listening to music, probably downloading illegally and like chatting on AIM. You know, that's what we would do in high school. Mm-hmm. And my parents were gone that night, actually, and it was just me there by myself. And I heard somebody knock on the door, and it's like 9:30 at night.
Ooh.
And I was like, what the hell? Somebody's knocking at my front door? So I like walked to like closer to the door to see if like I was tripping.
Right.
And then I heard somebody knock again, and I was like, ew, I'm not answering. I'm by myself right now. Like,
that's not what you do.
Yeah, that's not happening right now. I am not answering that door. So I just like turned around, went back to the dining room area, and just got back on the computer.
Front door?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So then whatever, I'm on the computer for another hour, just doing my thing. And then again, like 10:30, 11, knock, knock, knock. It's like, right? And I'm like,
it's the cops.
Oh my God, who is at the door? You know, like what is going on over there?
It was a serious knock.
Yeah, it was a knock and I could hear it. And so then I walked over there and I like tried to look through my window, but I couldn't see anybody through the blinds in the front door. So I was like, I'm not opening it. I'm by myself. This is weird.
Yeah.
What if it's like some serial killer? I don't know. I already think that way.
You just know you don't open the door late at night when you're a girl.
Nobody knew I was home alone, so it's not like any like friends of mine were going to be popping up like that or anything. So then whatever, I get back on the computer and then another hour goes by and again, right? And I'm like, oh, hell no. Now it's like, you know, 12 o'clock. And I'm just like, now I'm a little scared. So I'm just like on my thing. I didn't even go to the living room that time. I was like, F that. I don't even know who's over there. Like, I'm not walking over there. Like, what if they see me through the window? Mm-hmm. Let it go. And I was just like, okay, whatever. And then now it's 1:30 in the morning and I hear it even louder and it's like,
oh, the sound effects.
Yeah. And I was like, like super scared at that point, you know? And I was like, oh my goodness. So I called somebody. I called my, I called this family member that lives nearby and her name's Irene. And I was like, hey, did you happen to stop by? And she was like, what? Why would I stop by? And I go, well, somebody's been knocking on the door for like the last few hours and I've been home alone. I have not opened the door at all because I'm home alone, but somebody's knocking and now I'm standing in my hallway because I'm scared to be by any windows at this point. And so I'm like in the hallway of the house so there's nothing, anybody can see me anywhere. And she was like, no, I didn't go by there. What's going on? And then it's like, boom, 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 boom. Like really loud, even louder than the last time, okay? And she's all, what was that? I'm on the phone with her. And I was like, I don't know. That's why I'm calling you. I thought maybe you were here knocking. Like, I don't know what's going on. And she was like, oh my gosh, did you call your parents? And I was like, I'm going to call them next. I just was calling you to see if it was you. And she's like, I'm heading over there right now, you know? And I called my parents and they were on the way home from wherever they were coming from. And my dad was like, I'm on the freeway. I'll be there right now. And everybody was like, you know, on their way over there. Like I called my brother, he's on his way, my sister's on his way. And then I hear it again, boom, 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 boom. You know, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm sitting in the middle of my hallway, just like terrified. Because it's 1:30 in the morning. I'm 17 years old. I'm not going to answer the door.
If it was someone, why would they be knocking like that?
Exactly. And so then they show up like probably a few minutes, 5 minutes after that last bang. And everybody showed up at the same time, like my parents, like everybody was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, do you guys see anything? Is anybody out here? Like, and there was nothing. And I looked out the window one time and I didn't see anybody at the door. So I wasn't sure. And anyways, there was nothing there, nobody there. And I've looked up like other people have had similar experiences and they say like, it is like some sort of spirit and that it's not a good spirit. So it's a good thing to not answer the door, apparently.
To like not let them in.
Mm-hmm.
Are you Do you feel confident that it was not like a physical
I feel like
being?
It wasn't. I think I knew the whole time that it wasn't for some reason.
That's why you never went back to just be like, what do you want?
Yeah. I had this, I looked one time out the window and I didn't see anybody, you know? So then I knew. I had a feeling like for sure this is something else. It's not, but I was also really scared because I didn't know for sure at the time. But later on, like thinking about the story, and I mean, you know, this is like 20 years later and it still is a spooky story to me to this day. You know, like I never knew who was knocking at the door.
Well, good thing you didn't answer that door. God,
I know, right?
It's kind of glad you didn't find out.
Yeah, it's such a spooky story. But like, so I've always been intrigued by these things. And I'm sure you have too.
Absolutely.
I've always loved Halloween and everything spooky. It's like Halloween all year in my life.
Yeah. You are, I think, one of my main Halloween friends that I know.
Spooky sisters.
Spooky sisters.
Yeah, but San Diego is actually a very haunted town, as you may know. It's a very old town, very haunted. There's a lot.
Very old, but pretty old now.
It's pretty old. And there's a lot of haunted locations here. And I've visited all of them. And I feel like
we should do that.
Yeah, I've been in most of these locations actually. But one location that really, I guess, I don't know. I think it's super interesting because it's just a cool story is the Villa Montezuma, and you haven't been there yet. So the Villa Montezuma is like a known haunted house here in San Diego. It's located in Sherman Heights, so kind of near downtown, like not far, around the corner from here.
Yeah.
It's a really cool house.
Is it the one that I think I've seen? I think you've pointed it out to me when
I probably
drove
have.
by.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
really
you can't
beautiful.
miss it. It's a very beautiful house. And it's also kind of scary at the same time. Like I wouldn't want to be hanging out there at night by myself or anything like that.
Oh, wow.
You know, but it's owned by the city and they offer tours like maybe once a year where people can actually go inside. And so one year I was like, on the list to go inside of the Villa Montezuma. And I was like there, like first one there, you know,
as you would be.
To go inside the Villa Montezuma, you know, and they told us a little bit about the history of the house. And it's a really beautiful home. Like it was built for this pianist guy named Jesse Shepherd. And I don't know. I think they built the house for him because they were trying to build a vibe in the area. Like they wanted his presence there as far as like to like make things happen artistically, musically, and all of that. And he ended up like kind of getting the house built how he wanted it. So, so the house has all these like stained glass windows, and one room has all of the seasons of the year.
Oh, wow.
And it's really pretty. And then another room has, I believe, and don't quote me guys, but it's like his favorite like musicians or composers or favorite writers, something like that. Each window is like catered to his favorite kind of things. And anyways, he started doing these seances in the house.
Oh.
But he was doing like these like orchestra seances, like where he was like playing music on the piano, but he was like channeling Mozart, and he was like Mozart on the piano and like just like supposedly like channeling.
What year? Do you know what year this
1800s.
was? Oh, so it was late 1800s?
Probably, yeah. And
right, because it was built,
yeah. And but he was, so he would have the whole like, I guess the town, or I don't know who, but people would come into the house, they would sit and they would watch him play piano. And then he would be like some sort of seance where he's like channeling whoever, Beethoven or whoever, right? And he also, there was like these secret walls in the house, and like people would be like banging. He would have people like scaring them because he was faking it. Okay. Supposedly.
Yeah.
But some people believe that he wasn't faking it because he was just by himself, right, playing piano. Yeah. But some like passerbyers would say they heard a whole orchestra playing in there when he was just by himself, you know? So I don't know. They say some weird stuff was going on there. They're not really sure exactly, but I don't know. He ended up moving to Paris. He left after a year. So he was like, I'm moving in. You're going to build the house how I want it. I'm going to do these piano seances and then I'm out. That's basically what happened. I wonder if that was
his plan, or maybe if he really did.
Maybe they were catching on to
conjure something, and then he got spooked, and he was like, "I gotta go."
Could have been he conjured something.
Actually, not that cool.
Or they caught on to the fact that he was scaring the people. Right. You know, like
faking it.
Yeah, like faking it. Who knows? Phony. But anyways, they say that house is very haunted. I went there. You do feel like weird vibes in there. Like I can imagine the house right now when I'm talking about it. And it's such a beautiful home. It's so beautiful, but you definitely feel some spooky vibes there.
Like you wouldn't be willing to be in there by yourself at night.
And so like there's also this like watchtower, like kind of, I guess, built on the house. And they say that you see like an old woman up there. And so I guess like the women or people would go up there to look to see who was coming. Like you could see afar, like, oh, somebody's coming this way or whatever. And I don't know if it was for, you know, their husbands that were at war. And when they would come home, you could see them through there or whatnot. But like, yeah, so there's like this watchtower. And yeah, they say at night you'll see like an old woman up there.
It's always still watching the old women ghosts. I know, why.
Right?
There's something about children and old women that's almost scarier than men. I don't know why.
What I know.
Men are more scary in real life.
Yeah.
Children and old women ghosts are just so creepy.
What is that about?
Maybe there's more of them. They're the ones out there doing stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like, yeah, that's like what you hear most too.
Yeah.
Like this old lady was crying, you know, like those like typical ghost stories. And this always sounds very, you have a friend.
I know, there's a friend flying by me.
Lexi hates bugs, but they love her.
They love me. But
that's cool though. I really want to go. I feel like we drove past it one time and I remember you were like, oh, it must have been after you went, obviously, because you were like telling me about it. And then I always see it randomly. I'll drive by, you know, like for whatever, going somewhere. And I do know that every time I'm like, oh yeah, I know that's like a, you know, haunted place and whatever. But there's, going back to like what you asked me, if there was other personal things, the Grand Hotel.
Oh, the Horton Grand.
Horton Grand Hotel.
Yeah, that hotel's haunted.
That hotel is haunted. And I remember, it's not that crazy, but going to the bathroom in there. And one of the weird like wings of it that was like definitely like the one that's like everyone talks about. And like I said, I have not phased anymore after my personal experience. But I went to the bathroom and they're like automatic toilets. And the one in the far corner when I like sat down like flushed and then the door like was like
oh no.
And like I looked, you know, did one of those like look at the feet because I swear like the light turned on when I went in there like, and then it flushed. I didn't even get to go to the bathroom. I ran out and I was like, okay. Where's the other bathroom? I'm not going in that one. And everybody there was just like, oh, that's nothing. Like they had like crazy stories. And they did tell me a lot. I don't remember them specifically like to recite them, but a lot of creepy just.
Oh yeah, the Horton Grand right there.
Horton Grand. It's so beautiful too. It's such a beautiful building.
I love ghosts, so I love going to drink at that bar right there, the Horton Grand. It's cute.
They actually start a lot of the ghost tours there. I remember like going on one when I was like you know, early 20s, and it started there.
Yeah.
But it was like a small one. It was like there, the Whaley House. I think we drove by the Villa Villa Montezuma?
Yeah, probably.
We didn't go in because, like you said, I think it's only like a portion.
You can't go in.
They usually just go and tell you these stories. And then there was other various like homes that are known to be visited.
There's one park here in Mission Hills.
Oh, yes.
Pioneer Park.
Pioneer Park.
Pioneer Park used to be a cemetery from back in the days. And they, one day, decided that they needed more land. I don't know. I don't even know. They just wanted to turn it into a park.
They just wanted a park.
It's so weird. They just wanted to turn it into a park out of nowhere. And I think it was like the 70s. I think the last person buried there was like 70s sometime. And then they turned it into a park. It was like abandoned for a little while. Like, no, it was just like a rundown cemetery. And then they turned it into a park. And instead of like removing all the bodies, they just decided to remove all the tombstones, and they left all of the bodies there. Yeah, they took them all out. They took all the tombstones out, and they left a section of headstones, tombstones on this, and they put them all to the side. Nobody's buried in that section. Like really, they just kind of put a collection of their like maybe. I don't know if these were important people or what exactly, but they're really beautiful tombstones. And but they left all of the bodies there. So a lot of people say at night when you go to Pioneer Park that there's like ghostly experiences. And
we've gone a few times.
Yeah,
I remember
people do.
You could just feel like you're in a cemetery. You just feel that same feeling of like just you're not alone. You're not.
In a cemetery with no tombstones, you're just like...
And like you said, the way they push them aside is very odd. It almost looks like they were supposed to come back and move them somewhere else. Right. They're like sloppy. There's no like real organization. There's no like real method. They're like pushed up close to like a building.
There's a school next door, an elementary school.
So it's kind of like, what was the...
Yeah.
You know, what was the thought? Because they could have probably like decorated the park with them. I mean, decorated for us, but like still odd that they just pushed them off to the side. But I remember going with you and Alexis a few times. Actually, I just had made a post of like, I think you took a picture of me holding a candle with my like horns. And I remember that night we got spooked because we saw what we thought was someone like standing on the hill. And like, you were the one, you were like, you guys see that? And then we're like, let's go. And then you were like, you're like, nope, they disappeared. We're like, okay, but we're still gonna go.
Yeah, it's a little creepy there.
It's very creepy.
Especially at night. A lot of people say they can record EVPs there, and they get recordings of ghosts and all of that. So it's a little spooky if you're ever looking for a spooky park to go to at night. I'm pretty sure it probably closes at like 10 or 11. I'm not really sure, but...
You could still get there, though.
I mean, it's just grass.
Yeah. Just like walk up a mound of grass.
Yeah.
Because when we went at
late night.
Like it was closed.
Yeah. But speaking of like people, being buried there and it just being a regular park where people play, kids play, and people walk their dogs and whatnot. Old Town has people buried all over the place. I think in the olden times, I don't know, 1800s or whatever, they were just like, oh, my brother died. Let's just bury him in the backyard or whatever. Like there's literally people buried everywhere in Old Town. When they do any sort of work where they're digging in the ground, they're like, we dug into a grave today. Like it's just like the normal thing for Old Town.
And they have those like tokens, right?
They do.
There's like little tokens.
Yeah, on the sidewalk.
Or like, I don't know if they say the names or
no, it doesn't say the name. It just says grave site, actually. Right. So on the sidewalk next to the El Campo Santo Cemetery, they have little tokens in the sidewalk letting everybody know that it's a grave site. But the cemetery there used to be bigger. It was like way bigger than what it is. This is just a small portion of the cemetery. And so, there's people buried in the street and under the sidewalk, under the street, under the businesses and the homes right there. Like there's people buried all over the place. And so they say it's a little bit, spooky and haunted, that I guess because they disturbed their grave sites or whatnot. I guess that's like a thing.
Definitely. The lore of that is I mean, I believe it.
One of her and I visited the Whaley house, and one of their infamous ghosts is actually buried there at the El Campo Santo Cemetery. Yankee Jim. Yes,
Jim Robinson, I think. But
yes,
Yankee
Jim Robinson, but everybody calls him Yankee Jim. He was this guy. I think he was like in his 30s, like younger, 30, 35. I'm not really
like
sure.
A little playboy.
He was just like a party animal, I guess, or something. I'm not really sure. I'm just saying that. But that's kind of the vibe I get. And he just one night stole a boat. That's why I think he's a party animal.
Oh, right. I forgot the whole like story of him.
Yeah.
Continue.
He like stole a boat. I don't know what he was running from, to be honest, but he stole a boat. And then he took the boat like, I don't know, somewhere across the bay. I don't know if he stole it from that side or this side exactly, but he ended up at a house. And then this like family, I guess, the word got out. Oh, they were searching for Yankee Jim. Right. He stole a boat, and I think they took him in like, oh, hey, let's feed you. And then they like called the authorities or whatever, and somehow got Yankee Jim arrested. Yeah. Then he got arrested, and then they took him to, basically back to Old Town. Right. And the Whaley house used to be a courthouse. Mm-hmm. So obviously he did his trial for stealing a boat. They hung him. He didn't even, wasn't horrible. Like he did anything that bad.
I remember that part of the tour when they like talked about that. I was just like, what? No, I mean, couldn't he just have like done some time or like paid a fine or
something? Nope.
They hung this man for stealing a boat.
Yeah, he stole a boat.
Savages.
Yeah. And basically how do you call it where they hang people? The gallows, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So I think part of where the Whaley house is built is where they used to hang.
Right outside that door.
Yeah. So I guess that living room on the right side of the house was where they used to get hung.
Yeah. And people would watch, like come to like watch the hanging.
Right. Oh, yeah. You can see. See, we did this tour there.
And
that's Jokey. She's the bomb.
She was super cool. That's one of
my coworkers here. Right. He was telling us about so that right there in that room is where they used to hang everybody before that room was there.
Wait,
obviously.
Was it in that room or was
so they
it
say,
outside?
They say it's right there, that it was part of the house. Like, and anyways, where he's standing is where he says he feels like a choking sensation.
Oh,
so a lot of men feel a choking sensation when they walk by the house or when they're standing in that location for some reason. And they say it's Yankee Jim.
I remember that room out of all of the rooms feeling the most like in like just like stuffy and like it was almost like you wanted to get out of it as soon as you walked in.
Right. So stuffy.
I don't remember that being the story, which is I think I was just so overwhelmed with the whole experience.
You know what's super cool about those rooms? This is just a off-topic thing, but how they had these iridescent like symbols. I think those were crosses.
Those were the
I'm not
hunters. Sure. Sorry.
Oh yeah, we did run into the ghost hunters. Hopefully we can get them on the show here one of these days. Yeah.
That'd be fun. To play with some toys of theirs.
But yeah, so when we were there talking about Yankee Jim, they did a whole, they were trying to speak to Yankee Jim basically. And Yankee Jim got a liking to Aubrey.
Yeah.
The ghost hunters.
You can probably find that in the video. It's kind of weird.
The ghost hunters were like, Yankee Jim likes Aubrey. Like, so he chose you for some reason.
I remember they had like the little, you said EMP? Where like
EVP,
yeah, where it like talks, like it says like words basically. And I don't remember.
Oh, they had a ghost box or ghost.
That was different, but the little thing that just like said words. It said like the number of people that were there. Like for instance, I don't know how many it was, but it was like 8. And then they were like interpreting for the ghosts. They think 8. Oh, there's 8 of us. And then they would say like random other weird, just like but relevant words.
Yeah.
And then they gave me those sticks.
Oh, they gave her these, how do you say it? Dowsing rods?
Dowsing rods.
Yeah, so they're like these rods and they're just like, oh, maybe it's coming up. I don't know, but.
Yes, that's exactly the part. So they're right there with the dowsing rods. And so they will point to stuff. And when they say no, I think it was when they crossed. So crossed together meant no. And like, they would ask him them various questions, and they would point. And I remember they were like, "Is there anyone here you want to talk to?" And they pointed directly towards me.
Yeah, right there. They pointed at her,
and I was like, "What the heck?" Okay, I guess I'll do this. I was really uncomfortable, to be honest. I think you could tell. I was just like, "Why?" What? Okay, and to be completely honest with you, I didn't believe it.
But you did it yourself.
And I did it myself, and I would ask him stuff. They were like, yes, ask him yes or no questions. So it's very like either they'll cross or, and that feeling of them moving in my hands like that, like it was very like, you felt like energy. Like at first, because when he was holding him, I'm like, oh, there must be something on him that like he's moving it with. But when I put him in my hands, I'm like, oh, there's nothing. It's just a metal stick in a little like rod holder that's like, it's wood and metal.
And it's just moving. That's so creepy. Look at it. Oh my gosh. Very creepy. She was really scared, by the way.
Her?
Yeah, she was super scared.
Well, because I think we all expected to go and just kind of be like, oh, cool story, like spooky house.
Well,
but that made it real. That made it real. Right away.
They surprised us with the ghost hunters. We were just walking through, and then boom, the ghost hunters were there. The San Diego ghost hunters, shout out to them.
Yeah, they
Love
were awesome.
Them so much.
So sweet, so informative, and just made it more fun than it was scary, which was nice.
Right.
Nice to have that.
Yeah, so we did have a ghostly experiences there. I actually on my own have experienced something at the Whaley house, which was very creepy. Before, I guess maybe, I don't know, years ago, they used to throw the Dia de los Muertos like festival
at the house.
And then it got taken over by a bigger group of like San Diego group, but Whaley House used to host it. And I would volunteer, and we would build altars and do face painting. I would be face painting, and you would have to show up early. Like we got there, not early, but like 8, 9, on Saturday or whatever the day of, Day of the Dead is, first and the second. So they would do, we would show up there in the morning, build the altars. And this one time we were outside of the Whaley house and we were doing our thing. And all of a sudden there's a window that's to the back of the house. So the hallway, like when you go upstairs at the end of the hallway, not where the theater is or whatever room, the big room, not that room, but on the other end, there's a hallway, like with the rooms.
Yeah.
And there's a window that faces to the back house.
Yeah.
And whatever, we're in that back area, and that window, it literally 9 a.m. shattered out into the, like out towards us.
What?
And I was like, whoa, what happened up there? And everybody's like, oh my God, is somebody in there? Because normally if you break a window, it shatters in. But no, the window shattered from inside out.
Oh, like, you mean
like somebody inside? Yeah. So like somebody inside threw something at the window or something like that. Literally shattered.
And you were outside?
I was outside in the backyard. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyways, there was nobody inside the Whaley house. It was closed. No. It was 9 a.m. I don't even know what time they opened, but it was early. So they weren't even open yet. Everybody's like, there's nobody in there. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it's like Day of the Dead. And we're like, ooh, this is spooky.
Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
They were ready to party.
But they also told me, the people that work there, they were like, oh, the back house is really haunted too. And that was like our headquarters where we were hanging with our purses were in there,
Right.
like whatever we needed, snacks. If we had to use the restroom, that's where we used the restroom, which was upstairs in that back house. And it was really creepy, like how you were talking about how you were scared to use the restroom.
Yeah.
It was really scary. And it was daytime. I just remember feeling so scared to have to go to the restroom. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to go up here.
Oh, so you mean like 8, 9 in the morning?
Yeah, in the daytime even. It was scary in
Even
there.
at night.
No, 9 a.m. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Yeah, those
anyways,
ghosts, they don't sleep.
the Whaley house is haunted. I've had experiences there.
The house is absolutely haunted.
You've had experiences?
I met Yankee Jim.
Yeah. Yankee Jim, I think, had a crush on Aubrey, actually.
Well, those dowsing rods, or dowsing?
Yeah, I don't even know if that's how you say it exactly.
Is there anyone I wanted to talk to? And when they went, I was like,
yeah.
No. But
like,
he was
dang,
nice.
Aubrey's cute.
Sweet. He was just,
her ghost boyfriend.
Ghost babies or something.
That was her ghost boyfriend.
To be honest, like, it was creepy, but because it was like kind of playful, I wasn't like scared when we were there. I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like, now I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, where are the other ghosts at? Let's talk to more of them.
I don't get scared there either. I just get excited because I love that shit.
They're like sinister. I feel like they're just kind of like.
We can cuss, right? Can we cuss here?
Fuck yeah. This is our show.
Sorry, it's because I told you earlier I come from a background in radio and I'm like instantly censored when I get in front of a microphone. It's like,
yeah, no, fuck that.
Like every like if I'm talking in front of little kids or something, you know, instant.
Like, but even then it's hard with kids because behind their parents' back they're saying all kinds of bad stuff. I remember being a kid once and we were saying all the words.
Yeah, so this show is going to be kind of open to all realms, like of anything spooky or eerie, whether it has to do with ghosts, aliens, conspiracy theories, true crime. Yeah. All of that is like our goal as
vampires.
Far as
but also yes.
Yeah, I mean there are people that really believe in vampires, so
see, that's the one
I don't
like. I don't believe. But you know what? This is ridiculous. But growing up, the one thing I was the most scared of, and this is true, and I used to sleep with my blanket over my head like a freaking hoodie, like this, till I was like 19 because I was afraid of vampires.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I can't believe I'm like kind of reliving that.
Oh my goodness.
I would watch every vampire movie and I just loved them, like just liking spooky stuff. But I just remember just feeling so like, oh, like I didn't like blood. I didn't like anyone being near my neck. I remember having like boyfriends when I was a teenager try to like give me hickeys and stuff, and I would freak out. I was like, get
off my neck.
I would freak out. Like, I hated it. Until this day, I don't really like anyone.
Oh my gosh.
But I don't believe in vampires. It's so dumb. Like, I don't really.
How did this happen?
But I do, kind of.
Do you know? Was it from a movie?
I watched like Interview with a Vampire, Dracula.
Great movie.
Like Bram Stoker. Yeah, Dracula. Queen of the Damned, which is like you did. What was her name?
Oh, she was
Aaliyah, but it was Queen.
Oh, Akasha.
Yeah, you really did a cool outfit one year with that. But yes, I just I don't know. I loved the lore of it, but the thought of it actually happening, I was like, ugh.
Yeah,
it just freaked me out. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
And it was only when it was like at night. I always had to have my blanket like right here.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't. Now I can. But even now I still kind of do that.
You know what's funny is that I wonder if kids these days are even scared of anything like that.
I know. I don't know. Maybe we should interview a kid.
Yeah, we'll bring a kid on and be like, what are you scared of?
I feel like we could interview my niece.
Whose kid's coming on here?
Yeah.
We might have one. Maybe we'll have one of his kids on here and ask them if they're scared of something.
Oh yeah, he's got some kids. Got some kids in the. Oh, we didn't do this, but can we do it now? Like,
what? Oh shoot, we forgot. You guys, we're new to this. This is our first episode. our first show.
They overdid it.
What do you think of this?
This looks great, right? I mean, it gives Lexy most. I think she's the spooky sister. She is the spooky sister.
Whoa!
Oh, it's in your mouth.
So you were scared of
behind me.
Now, I was going to end this podcast, but I thought it was so interesting that she shared that she was scared of vampires.
Terrified. At night only. Like, it wasn't like I lived because I knew during the day they couldn't get me. But then also didn't believe in them. It was just kind of like one of those, I don't know.
You know, when I was young, super young, there was all these doll scary movies, like tons of them. There was Puppet Masters, Child's Play. There was a movie called Dolls, and there was a couple of others, but like I can think of 5, I think. But I watched this movie called Dolls when I was 4 years old. And I went, and I remember.
Way to go.
I remember I went to there was this place called The Warehouse where you would go rent movies. I'm so aging myself, but anyways.
You mean Blockbuster?
This is way before Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. There was a place called The Warehouse. Please tell me, Eric, do you know The Warehouse? Yes. See, I'm not the only one.
Okay.
I think it's FYE now or something.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah, but
I remember.
But yeah, so I went there with my dad to rent movies, which was, by the way, if you didn't get to experience renting movies in life, you really missed out because it was a fun thing. It was a very fun thing.
It was a whole vibe.
It
was a party.
Going to rent videos. And my dad, like I saw a video with a doll on it, and he was just like, okay, yeah, rent it. He didn't even look to see what genre it was, where it came from, nothing. He was just like, yeah, mija, rent it, go for it. Yeah. You know, and we put it on the thing and whatever. And I already knew how to like put the VHS in at home. So I'm like literally 4, gonna be 5, not even in kindergarten yet. And I put on this movie, and it's just like, it's a scary movie, but it has a little kid in it. So it's kind of like kid friendly, but then it's like creepy as fuck. And basically, spoiler alert from an 80s movie.
That doesn't exist.
Spoiler alert. So in this movie, these people get stranded. They go into this house, and this person makes dolls. This man, he's like, you know, a
I
toy.
think I remember this movie.
Guy, yeah. So he makes dolls, and these dolls basically come to life, and they attack the adults, and they turn them into dolls. Oh, like anybody, like the only person that didn't get turned into the doll was the little girl, and like this other guy that was a kid at heart. Those are the only people that didn't get turned into dolls.
Children.
So these like dolls would like come and be all creepy and get in your bed and like take your body and turn you into a doll. And then they showed the process of you being human, turning into a doll. So you were like a huge doll, like turning into a doll. And then all of a sudden you were like a doll.
Like a little doll.
Like a tiny doll. Yeah. And I'm like 4 years old, and I was like, this is wild.
Were you scared?
I was scared. I was like, oh my God. But
you watched the whole thing.
I watched the whole thing, and I was like, I don't ever want any dolls. I got rid of all of my dolls. I didn't want any Barbies, nothing. Like, I was so terrified of them. And, you know, people would think for my birthday, oh, let's get her the Jasmine Barbie or whatnot. And I was like,
little did they know.
No, I hated them. I would like throw them in a suitcase and like underneath all these boxes in like a closet and just like throw them. Like, I did not want any dolls around me at all. Yeah, I hated them for a long time. And eventually I didn't, you know, I'm like, oh, it's just dolls, whatever. But to me, to this day, I still think they're creepy looking. Like, I don't want any.
Speaking of dolls, I got a really creepy doll / baby doll, like literal baby.
Is it like
doll.
A porcelain one?
Antique.
Ugh, ew.
From
so gross.
Alexis's auntie.
Yeah.
Who recently passed away. Rest in peace, Angie.
R.I.P. Angie.
But at first I was like, oh, it's so cool. I like that it's like old. But I kid you not, I see it now, and it does this. It's one of those ones that like its eyes blink.
Oh, I don't like it.
And when you blink the eyes now, it's like it's so old that it's like the first version of that.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was about to say, it'd be cool to have as a prop, but you would not like, because I almost don't like this doll. Like, I almost want to get rid of it, speaking of creepy objects.
I mean, you can bring it for a prop, but I don't want it coming in my house.
I mean, now that I brought it in my house, I'm like, what did I do?
And like, is it just there sitting?
It's sitting on top of a stack of Playboys, which is really random. It's on my little shelf that's like, I have like,
oh, you're going to have to take a picture and share it with us.
But it's freaking not
And
cool.
You just leave it there? Like, you're just walk by it. You're like, okay.
I wanted to do something with it. I thought I was going to like decorate it or like put do something to it. But I just like, I kind of pick it up and I'm like, this thing is.
It's like heavy.
Weird. Huh. Yeah, it's super heavy.
Ugh,
and it's not all plastic. Gross. The body is like mesh.
Yeah.
And stuffed. And then the head, it's like a weird like square. And then the head, and the arms and the feet are like the oldest piece of plastic. They're like, it's crumbled and cracked.
Ugh.
I'll take a picture and show you. It's freaking not
dolls are weird.
Cool.
I think too, like my mom had scary stories about dolls. Like she was just like, I don't care how old you are, mija, we're going to tell you all the stories. Like
she wanted you to know.
She's like, there's real ghosts out there. You need to know instead of like the real life things. She was telling me about spirits.
Right. Speaking of dolls, one more time before we move on or end this. My sister was obsessed with Chucky and Child's Play growing up to the extent of owning the dolls, the real Chucky dolls, like in various stages, you know, from him to like normal, stapled face, charred. And then
the
Tiffany.
Charred Chucky?
She had charred Chucky.
Oh my God.
And she had them all like on her dresser and like
she loved him.
She's till this day like loves Chucky. It's her favorite like horror.
Oh my God.
Which like I liked it too because it was fun and just silly. Like this doll being like fuck that. Yeah, he was so violent and like he like did his little doll. Yeah, and it was just a silly story to me. Like he like dude, she knows like the chant.
Oh yeah,
he does.
I don't even know, but it's like something like
give me the power, I beg of you, or something.
Yeah,
but I remember we had a bunk bed, and so her dresser was like a tall dresser that like I could almost see at like eye level when I was in the top, and I had to like I would tell her I'm like, can you put a towel over them because they would just like stare at me. And I wasn't really scared of Chucky, but just the fact that there was real
You're all like
dolls.
Looking at the side of your bed and they're just like looking at you.
Ooh. And she also had a poster of Marilyn Manson on her wall. It was that poster of his white face with like the eye you had the other night. Yeah. And I was just like, are you trying to like traumatize me? Like, do I have to share a room with her? This is crazy.
That's hilarious. I love it.
I wonder what happened to all her Chucky dolls.
I don't know, but I'm sure she still has them somewhere.
All right. Well, this was fun. Eric's like, yeah.
He's giving us the cue, yeah. We talked about something spooky. We'll have more of a direction next time, but we'll also have a name. And we didn't introduce it with a name, so don't judge us, but we're going to have one, and it might be posted with the name. Maybe. We have some ideas. But I'm Lexy. This is Aubrey. And thanks for hanging with us.
It was fun. Thanks, Eric.